Thank you for taking the time to listen to me. Brief explanation, I chose the American Redneck Company as the name of my company, as to me, redneck is a lifestyle and not skin tone specific. So I'm not here to speak for or against critical race theory, as I think mostly it's been misunderstood. Based on my understanding, I'm here more to try to end race in Calvert County. Now, I say end race, I'm not saying colorblind. I can look at everybody on the board, and nobody matches the description of black or white as we define it by art. I'm saying end race as in a divisive tool that it was meant to be. So first, like I said, it's inaccurate. Nobody here on the board or in the room matches black or white. Second, I'll talk about its origination. Race as we use it in America was created here. Now, there's been different forms of race over time dating back to 3000 BC. But as we use it here, it was created around 1400, 1500 BC or AD when we were still a colony. And the idea was to make it so that people that look like me couldn't interact with people that look like Mr. Kelly. Because the idea, if we got together, we would stand against elites. I'm saying we don't need to practice that anymore. Next, I'll talk about how it's used. I used to work in corporate America, now I work in government in addition to my side company. But race is used as a way to take out empathy for people who don't identify as somebody of a particular race. Best example I could use is last year when a 20-month-old baby was killed in Chicago. A way to dismiss it, somebody said that's just black on black crime. When they were wrong, that's a 20-month-old baby. But by assigning race to a 20-month-old baby as opposed to calling them a human being or a baby, we remove the empathy for anybody who doesn't identify as that assigned race. Lastly, I give an alternative. As opposed to calling people black or white, like I said, nobody matches, I propose a number scale of 0 through 10. For an example, Mr. Kelly would be a 2, Mr. White would be about an 8, Mr. Nutter would be a 2, Ms. Claggett, I'm sorry if I pronounced your name wrong, would be 5 or 6. It's a little more accurate, actually. Race is black and white. Ms. Belinsky would be a 2, and Dr. Curry would be a 2. But this takes away the color aspect, because if you Google the definition of a black man right now, you'll get somebody of some sub-African or sub-Saharan descent, and right underneath you'll get an evil person or the devil. And I can't overcome being called the devil just by simply walking in a room. Lastly, I think anybody who identifies as an American citizen should be called American. I insist on people calling me American, calling my kids American, and I call every American American. If you prefer to not be called American, I'll call you non-American. But when we talk, I look at your chart here that I believe was given out to teachers. If we call kids black or white and teach in history, people called themselves white at some point and really mistreated people that were black, and talk about all the evil details that were tied to that, and I say, and you today are white, or you today are black, then they cannot help but have those connections of guilt or anger or shame. But by calling ourselves American now and exposing the fact that people who used to call themselves white or called themselves white in the past and called other people black, we can all take pride in how far America has come and all understand, all have a total encompassing guilt of how bad America was and make sure it doesn't happen again. And the last thing I'll speak on is, the gentleman just mentioned intersectionality. I'd be foolish to say that people who look like me or people who look like Dr. Curry and people who look like Ms. Claggett were treated fair based on not knowing them. That's just not true. When I worked in corporate America, I worked in staffing where I provide accountants to different companies, and not one, not two, but over 20 occasions was I told that by the client not to send me any black people. That tells you what black and white is. It's a weapon. It's a designator. And we don't need it here in Calvert County. We don't need it in this world. And I'd like you to get rid of race. Thank you.
Thank you.